explain to people here, first of all, what Title IX is and how it applies to you as a school district.
Title IX is a very broad law, or I guess it is a law that basically says that you cannot discriminate against anybody based on race, sex, religion, and it has most to do with gender. In other words, Title IX is more of a gender thing. Like, for instance, if you have a boys sport, you have to have a corresponding girls sport. That's a pretty simplistic way to say it. But that's a simple way to put it. If you have boys' locker rooms can't be extravagant palaces and girls' locker rooms be the old wooden benches underneath the court. Equal facility. It's kind of basically you have to have equal facilities for both genders. The practice that we've had in the district, and it's a long-standing practice, and it's not me. It's an administrative practice. It's not a school board practice. This is not something the school board's ever been involved in. Never had to be. Administratively, these things have been handled. First off, there wouldn't be they would not be allowed to use the girls' locker room. We had a female football player at one time at one of our high schools, which she was allowed to play football under Title IX, but she did not change in the boys' locker room. She used her own locker room facility. So locker rooms are one of those deals. We've never had an issue with it. It's never come up, and the answer would be, no, you can't come in and use a girls' locker room. That's just the final answer. If you don't like it, then I guess you could follow the grievance process. That's our practice. The practice is no. The answer is no. You can't. Because of privacy issues, you can't. If somebody shows up today and says, hey, I feel like a girl today, or I feel like a boy today, I want to use the other bathroom, the answer is no. You may not. You may not just go willy-nilly in there. What would happen is the principal and the administrative team would meet with that student and those parents to see if there is an accommodation. Is there a single-serve bathroom in the school that individual could use? For instance, that's just an instance. Something along those lines that would be an accommodation for the student, but it would put nobody else. It wouldn't violate anybody's privacy rights.
So this has been the practice all along.
Basically, as the state wanted us to put it into policy. And then the state attorney general's office, they were here and they wanted us to put it in policy. And then that way they could, in a way, they kind of wanted to use Wichita Falls ISD a little bit as a pawn, to be honest with you, to go out and probably test this in federal court. Here's the policy. Here's our policy, and it does. As of now, we are Title IX compliant with our practice because we will look to make accommodations as long as it doesn't violate anybody else's privacy rights.
Yeah.
So that's the crux of it. But they were wanting us to codify it in policy to where I think they could go test it, possibly test it in court. Understand that our discussion last night was not 100% revolved around transgender and bathroom and stuff. Some of the discussion was revolved around who has the right to tell you what you can and can't, what policies you can and can't make or enforce in your district. So understand that it was not 100% over a morality issue or a social issue or that. Some of it was purely a constitutional, basically, for lack of a better term, constitutional issue. Do you have the right as a federal government to, not through the legal channels, not through Congress, not through the duly elected channels, do you have the right to just say, you know what, we're going to say here's our policy, and you're going to follow it, and that's the way it goes. It's not just it's not really revolving around a moral issue or a social issue that sort of thing. Everybody's going to have their ideas on that, and there's a piece of that involved. Don't get me wrong, but it's not 100% of that. Some of it is about pure overreach of government.